All right, hello everyone. So I wasn't really going to make a video until my next episode, but I decided to go ahead and to give my feelings and thoughts out from the past couple of days between Kirk shooting and a school shooting that happened in Colorado. There's a lot going on, a lot of unnecessary violence that's going on. Um, no one should lose their life, whether you agree with them or not. No kid should have to go to school and lose their life or go to the hospital in critical condition. No parent should have to drop their kid off at school and wonder if this is the last time they're going to see their kid. So, the point of this video is not to make it political. I'm not really a political type of person. I'm more of financial type of person. But politics does play a part into economics and financial situations. So that's why you have to keep up and pay attention. Me, I don't identify as a party. I'm me. I believe what's right and wrong through me and how what I believe. I don't need to have a party, right? So I have three names for you today that I want to go over. Throughout the course of history, I'm gonna give you these three names and activists who has had a similar fate to Charlie, and why it's important for us to highlight this, because this has been happening way before Charlie, right? And the reason why it's such an outrage and such a push is because now we have social media to give us that live news, right? So we have social media, we have cameras. We didn't have this back then to kind of highlight the importance of this. So the whole theme of this is that I just feel like we're in a state of insanity. And what I mean by that is I don't know the right or wrong answer, but I know something does have to change for us to move forward as a country and stop killing our own people, stop killing people who came in from Ukraine as a refugee, right? Like, there's so much violence going on right now. And I think it starts from the top down through the media, all these things that they push, right? All the things social media push. And I think it just adds to the fuel, especially with the two parties going against each other saying, oh, Democrats did this and they don't have a killer yet, but that's besides the point. Again, I'm not trying to make this political. I just want to give you guys the information and how I see it and how we should come together to just stop this in general, no matter what side you're on, no matter what views you have. Oh, right. So, like I said, I'm going to give us three names that we're going to go ahead and talk about. Really this is to highlight, again, the stories that you guys may not know about, may not ever heard about. This type of violence has been happening for so long now, and that's why I'm saying we're in a state of insanity. We just have social media and the media to push what they want to push, right? So you have algorithms, you have the media knows what drives ratings, X, Y, and Z. So the media pushes what it wants to push, and a lot of it is the violence and negativity that goes on in today's world. There's not a lot of good that you see on your social media. You probably see more bad than good. You see more fake news than real news. So I just wanted to let you guys know I have done research on these folks that I'm going to go over with the past couple days. I'm going to start off with Medgar Evers. So for you guys who don't know who Medgar Evers is, he is a vet. He served in World War II. And then he came back to the States. So he came back, became a civil rights activist, and he actually led the investigation into the Emmett Till lynching because he believed that the investigation was incomplete and he wanted to catch the right people who actually committed that crime. Evers established the first NAACP office in Jackson, Mississippi as a field secretary. For you guys who don't know what that is, that's a National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. So why is that important? Because that was one of the first offices in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi there. This was, the NAACP was founded in 1909. As a way for African Americans to practice the civil rights and to keep that pushing, right? So unfortunately, on June 1963, he was shot dead in front of his house. Indoors was his wife and kids. He was a vet. He served in the military. He served for our freedom, and he came back and was killed because of his efforts for civil rights. So I don't know about you guys, but he was just fighting. It's not even the equal right movement, civil rights. He was fighting for civil rights and lost his life after already sacrificing, his life to go overseas to fight for our freedom. All right, so on to the next person. All right, so we have another World War II vet. We have another person who served in World War II who came back and was wrongfully murdered, and his name is Maceo Snipes. For you all who don't know who Maceo Snipes is, Maceo Snipes, he fought in World War II. He was shot and killed for being the first black man to vote in Taylor County. So based on what I've seen, is he went over, he fought for the country, he came back, he knew the risk it took for him to being a black man to vote in that time. And he said, you know what, I'm going to take a stand and I'm going to show people I can practice my right to vote after I just fought for y'all freedom. After I just gave my body up for our country, I'm going to take I feel like I deserve the right to vote. I went over there and fought. Y'all didn't. So yeah, I feel like I deserve the right to vote and I don't blame him. Well, he voted and then he was shot after he voted. So he was voted, he shot, he walked 3 miles to the hospital with his mother, with the bullet inside him, having a bullet wound. The doctors left him in the waiting room for 6 hours. 6 hours the doctors left him in the waiting room with a bullet inside of him. The doctors then came out and said that he needed a blood transfusion. But the doctors claimed that there was no black blood in order to do the transfusion, and then 2 days later, Snipes died. All right, so I said I was going to do 3, but I have 4 names here because the 2 actually go within the same case. So we have Harry T. and Harriette Moore. So they were the first civil rights activists in the state of Florida, being the first NAACP president in Florida. Christmas night in 1951, they were celebrating their 25th anniversary, and unexpectedly a bomb went off under their bed. So this was the first ever NAACP official to be assassinated. You know, despite the outcry through the nation, massive FBI investigation, they could not find the murderer. So they didn't know who did this, right? Or they didn't really care to actually, to take it further, right? So who knows? It took more than half a century before they reopened the case to actually find out it was 4 members of the Ku Klux Klan who were directly involved with the murder, and they had 2 daughters. All right, again, all this to say, I'm not trying to be political. I'm not trying to undermine anyone's death. Like I said earlier, no one deserves to die an unexpected death, especially a brutal death. I don't feel like we should have the power to decide when it's time for someone to go. That should be left up to God and His will. But I just really wanted to show you guys, I gave you an example from back to 1951 during the Civil Rights Movement. If you guys are so outraged at what's been happening recently, look into the history, look into that, there's a lot of political figures who have been shot and killed. And to me, they're also the same thing with the school shootings. They're just, to me, something has to be done with both cases. But we're going to keep living in this insanity. No one cares until it hits close to home. So no one cares till it hit close to home. And that's why we live in this insanity cycle. After this, what's going to change? Are we actually going to see change? And if we do, why now? Why didn't we see change back in 1951? Why didn't we see change in 1963? Why didn't we see change in 1965 when Malcolm X died? Something has to happen for us to move forward. And I think it's up to those who control the media, who control the propaganda, to start pushing the right things to people who really need it, and stop pushing the toxic negativity that we see day in and day out. But again, this is just my take on it, just my feelings on it. Financial side, just a quick tip that I've taken away. This is why you need to have your life insurance set up, because you never know. You never know when it's time. You never know when when you're going to go. And you want to make sure that, especially if you have a family in the house, assets, you want to make sure those are protected. Get a trust account, look into a trust. That's part of building and dropping off your legacy, is what you leave to your family. So that's one thing that I took away from that, is I'm gonna make sure my family's good. I'm not saying I'm going to get assassinated. I'm not saying that, but you never know when it's your time to go. So it's always better to be prepared.